Part 40. Why are all of them passive skills? Author, Bulletin G. Bayet. Chapter 399. This is a space transfer? No, it doesn't look like a space coordinate displacement. It doesn't seem to be the case. Why is it a bit like the star shift I taught Zikiu? Sudden. The dean became fiercely alert, and a strong sense of crisis arose spontaneously. He subconsciously shifted his body. The next second, the ripple he shot before suddenly appeared in front of him. Whoosh! Self-attack. The old president frowned and stared at the white energy ball. Dean frowned and stared at the space near the white energy ball. The two have different concerns. Let's try together. Let's try together. The old president and the dean looked at each other and said in unison. The two of them turned their heads together and focused their attention on the white energy ball again. The old president waved his hand in the air, and a sword appeared in his palm, a mass-produced dagger made of omega light. When did weapons made of omega become mass-produced? It's nice to have money. This time, the dean stretched out a hand. In his palm, a dazzling silver light flashed, and a mark appeared in his palm. Go. The omega dagger turned into a stream of light and shot out from the palm of the old president's hand, drawing a beautiful straight line in the void. Fry. Following the dean's instructions, the silver mark in his palm came out of his hand, quickly spun in the air, and flew towards the white energy ball. Only. When the omega dagger and silver mark entered the 1-meter range of the white energy ball, they disappeared again. Careful. The dean's pupils tightened, and the old president was also alert. They both moved away from their original positions. The moment after their figures disappeared from the spot, the omega dagger and silver mark that were originally attacking the white energy ball suddenly appeared at their previous location. The second time, this time it was confirmed. When their attack enters within 1 meter of the white energy ball, the spatial coordinates will be replaced and returned to the attacking person's spatial coordinates again. What a headache! The dean sighed, with a troubled look on his face. He himself is a semi-saint of the space department, so he naturally knows how difficult space can be. Although the space system's attack power is insufficient, its difficulty is one of the most difficult among all elemental systems. Can't you break this secret space-shaking technique? The old president said with a headache that he would not be afraid of abnormal space phenomena if they were at the same level or below. However, there is nothing he can do about the space secrets set up by Pluto, a seemingly semi-holy creature. There should be nothing we can do in a short period of time. The dean shook his head. Wanting to break through the spatial anomalies around the white energy ball would require a lot of complicated calculations. There would be no way out for a while. What should we do? Just when the two of them froze and didn't know what to do, bursts of energy fluctuations surged out from the white energy ball. The endless majestic energy aura emanated, making the dean and the old president couldn't help but tremble. What's wrong? The originally dim white energy ball suddenly shone, and crystal white light revealed from the inside out. Get out of the way first. The old president said. The two people are now too close to Pluto. If something happens, they won't even have a chance to escape. In the blink of an eye, the two of them floated high in the sky, watching the movements of the white energy ball from a distance. The energy fluctuations emitted from the white energy ball did not explode, but flowed from top to bottom into the black bone body of Pluto's true body. Is this providing energy? The old president looked horrified, and there was a huge storm in his heart. Could it be said that all the actions of Pluto's true body are all powered by the energy provided by this white energy ball? What a huge amount of energy! No wonder the true body of Pluto will have a short gap after each action, which can support the energy consumption of the entire body. It is strange that it does not stop. Likewise. The dean also thought of this. The two looked at each other and saw the shock in each other's eyes. After a slight silence, the old president said bitterly, "No way, This body is not the true body of Hades. The moment the body appeared, they always regarded it as the true body of Hades. But now tell them that all the energy in this body is provided by that mysterious white energy ball. This body of black bones, which is 10,000 feet tall, is just an empty shell. Who can withstand this? Damn it! A black skeleton that appeared casually made them anxious. What would the real Pluto look like? Can't imagine. So, the most important thing is the pure white energy ball. We have temporarily found a place to start, but the most troublesome thing now is that we don't know how to attack that white energy ball. And energy provided. Pluto's body moved again. Notice. Other side. Be careful. Gray looked at Zhao horizontal bar with an angry face and shouted. On the battleship, he was extremely bored during the flight. Zhao horizontal bar suddenly became interested and wanted to take a look at Gray's wings. Thinking that this was his new friend, Gray stretched out his wings from his back. Then, Zhao Dangang curiously grabbed the white wings and plucked a handful of feathers without hesitation. It hurts. Be careful. Gray thought Zhao Dangang was very strong, and turned around and said angrily, but when he saw the handful of white feathers in Zhao Dangang's hand, he exploded. Do you think I'm your mother hen? You grab a handful of feathers. Zhao Dangang was embarrassed and put the feathers in his arms. He said apologetically, I'm sorry, it's the first time I see a real angel. I'm a little curious. Gray stared and watched Zhao Dangang put the feathers in his arms with a calm face. He said angrily, do you want to collect any feathers you see? Zhao Dangang looked innocent, no, I just feel that angel feathers may be valuable. I'm not an angel. Gray's face was black. Why is this person as thick-skinned as Yejing? It turns out that birds of a feather flock together. Okay, stop arguing. The noise was so loud that Yejing's ears hurt. We're going to Pluto soon, be careful. Yejing reminded him, turning his head and staring at Gray with a strange look on his face, with wings behind him. What do you want to do? Gray was so uncomfortable with Yejing's gaze that he had goosebumps all over his body. I remember your wings, they have defensive functions, right? Yejing suddenly asked. Yes, what's wrong? Yejing pointed at the battleship and whispered, well, I'm afraid that the battleship will be attacked and damaged. It's quite expensive. I wonder if you can wrap the battleship with wings to defend it? Gray's face suddenly darkened. Aren't you afraid that I will be attacked? After playing for a day, I almost passed the next day. I wish all my friends a happy new year, good health, and finding a girlfriend and a boyfriend. Why are all of them passive skills? Author, Bulletin G. Bayet. Chapter 400. He really has no friends and can't talk. Yejing's words almost made Gray go berserk on the spot. You are afraid that your warship will be damaged, but aren't you afraid that my wings will be damaged? Gray said with a dark face, don't dream, my feather is more expensive than your entire warship. The four wings behind him are connected to his blood, but they were made by filling all his savings in his pocket and the income in the past year. These are not enough. He finally asked his family for some resources to really complete it. I roughly calculated it myself. At least 1 billion. Angel's wings, this thing is really not something that ordinary people can afford. 1 billion resources. It cost 30 million of my savings and 1 million earned along the way. After untold hardships, he finally asked his family to pay 969 million to complete it. It's really hard. The corner of Yejing's mouth twitched slightly. He also knew that the wings behind Gray were expensive, but it was not to this extent, right? He rolled his eyes. If one of your feathers is worth 100 million, then just ignore what I said. If not, just pluck it out for me. 100 million. Gray was slightly startled and couldn't help but glance around the interior of the warship. He couldn't tell that this thing was worth 100 million. It looked like Yejing was lying. One of his feathers was really not worth 100 million. Gray hesitated and said, "Just one." Yejing nodded, "Just one." "Okay then." Gray took out the wings behind him with a painful look on his face, closed his eyes and gritted his teeth and said, "Pull it out." At this time, Zhao Danggong took out the feather that he had plucked from Gray's wings from his arms and asked in confusion, "Is this not okay?" "That's not it. That fake feather I created for beauty. Just treat it as chicken feathers," Gray explained. "Really chicken feathers?" Zhao Danggong's eyes widened, and he quickly threw all the feathers in his arms to the ground, his face full of disgust. Yejing walked behind Gray, found an essence wing on the tip of his wing, and gently pulled it off. "It hurts. This is a wing that is really connected to the blood." "Then what? How to use it?" Yejing looked at the pure white feather in his hand and asked. "Give it to me." Gray snatched the feather from Yejing's hand unhappily, held it in his palm, rubbed his hands, and a faint fluorescence appeared on the feather. The next second, the feather disappeared, and when it appeared again, it was outside the starry sky. The feather exuded a white light, which wrapped the entire battleship, as if forming a protective film. "Okay, let me explain in advance. At most it can resist the frontal attack of the Destiny Realm, and it's okay to block accidental damage. If it is really locked in the frontal attack, there is nothing we can do," Gray said. Yejing showed a satisfied smile. "That's enough. Anyway, we're about to land. These two little friends are awesome and useful. One can earn feathers, the other can earn life. Awesome. There are less than 100 miles left to Pluto. At this time, they can already feel the fluctuations of the melee on Pluto, whether it is energy or spiritual energy, they are all violent and frantic. And the closer they are to Pluto, the clearer they see the true body of Pluto, and the more frightened they are. When the new huge energy supply to the true body of Pluto, the true body of Pluto, which had been silent, moved again. Attention everyone, retreat and defend. After noticing the change in the scene, the old president of the Holy Light sent a message to the ears of other semi-saints. At the same time, everyone retreated violently and stayed away from the true body of Pluto. "What's wrong again? Look at the thorns behind it." The old president of the Holy Light frowned, staring at the huge blood-red barbs behind the true body of Pluto. Previously, it was because of the vitality coming from the bloody barbs that resurrected all the undead buried under the ground. This time, the barbs were still moving. The barbs on the back of Hades' true body were deep red, each of which was hundreds of meters long, huge, wide, and extremely sharp. Under the supply of the white energy ball, the bloody barbs vibrated violently, and each vibration was accompanied by a frightening friction sound. After the violent vibration, under the horrified gaze of the semi-saints, a barb like a bloody mountain fell off from the back of Hades' true body. The bloody barbs turned in the air, and after adjusting a position, the tip of the barb reached the old Mandiji, whooshed, cut through the space, and shot towards the old Mandiji at supersonic speed. Randomly draw a lucky audience to accept the attack. Be careful. Everyone's eyes followed the bloody barbs and looked at the old Mandiji. Among them, the old president of Shengguang and the dean showed worry in their eyes. Others didn't know, but they knew that the inside of the old Mandaji's body had rotted. Although he had the power of a semi-saint, he couldn't withstand the powerful attack. When the old Mandiji saw the bloody barbs attacking him, he was slightly stunned. He never thought that the first active attack of the Hades real body would target him. "Do you want to pick on the weak?" The old Mandiji looked slightly angry. Although he was old, he was still a semi-saint who had survived for 2 generations. How could he be afraid of this mere barb? Digi. The old man Dowdy opened his eyes slightly, and stretched out his arms. A shadow of Dowdy's head appeared behind him. The shadow of the head quickly expanded to a size of 100 meters, blocking the old man Dowdy behind. "Swallow." When the huge bloody barbs shot out, the shadow of Doughty's head suddenly opened its huge mouth. This abyss mouth that seemed to be able to swallow the world swallowed up the bloody barbs hundreds of meters in size in an instant. When the bloody barbs of Hades' true body entered the old man Doughty's stomach, he trembled all over his body, and his whole body suddenly swelled by more than a few inches, as if he had eaten too much. This expansion lasted for more than 10 seconds before it was suppressed, and the old man Doughty's body returned to its original state. And a trace of blood flowed out of his mouth and flowed to the ground. Burp. The old man Dogui burped. In the past, when he was full, he would show a satisfied smile on his face, but now, his face was full of pain and sweat broke out on his head. His stomach hurt so much. This bloody barb was like the sting of a wasp's tail, piercing his stomach fiercely. How long can I last? The old man Dogui thought so. The other semi-saints breathed a sigh of relief when they saw the old man Dogui eat the bloody barb. However, before they could breathe a sigh of relief, a terrifying scene happened again. There were a total of 18 barbs on the back of Hades. After the old man Dogui ate one, there were still 17 left. And these 17 bloody barbs all broke away from the back of Hades and scattered towards everyone. Not only that, when all the 18 bloody barbs were detached, in just a blink of an eye, 18 more bloody barbs grew on the back of Hades. Batch after batch. Every time the 18 bloody barbs grew out, they scattered towards everyone. Dozens or hundreds of huge barbs covered the entire sky, and each one was like a small mountain, pressing down on everyone. Isn't this cheating? Li Yangtian cursed angrily. Seeing the huge barbs all over the sky, everyone's faces were as ugly as eating shit. Does this energy cost money? Don't let people fight the boss. Emergency defense. The old president of Xuanhuan exhaled deeply and shouted loudly. At the same time, he waved his robe with both hands, and hundreds of green swords appeared in front of him. The green swords were arranged in an orderly manner. After the clanging sound of metal collisions, a diamond-shaped sword formation was formed. Attract the dragons to the Peerless Dragon Control Formation. After the sword formation was initially formed, several green dragons appeared and kept flowing on the surface of the sword formation. These green dragons were not the lizard-like Western dragons, but the Eastern dragons. When the old president took action, the faces of the others also changed slightly, and they all used their own defensive secrets. The dean stretched out his hand with a gloomy face and drew a circle in front of him. As his fingertips slid, the surrounding space began to vibrate. When the circle was formed, a deep and dark black hole appeared. The black hole absorbed everything around it. Tagore's face was normal. His muscles exploded, and his clothes suddenly exploded into pieces. He was naked, ready to resist the barbs of Hades. For them, the Titans, the flesh is the strongest attack, and the flesh is the strongest defense. Damn it! Are you still going to let me fight you? Li Yangtian had a gloomy face. His attack power was one of the best among all the semi-saints, but his defense power was extremely low. Facing more than a dozen bloody barbs that shot at him from all angles, his face turned black. Xiaohuo, do you need my help? Haibinghun, who was not far away from him, saw Li Yangtian's embarrassment and couldn't help but tease him. Although the two of them didn't get along and their races were also enemies, at this critical moment, he put aside this little hatred for the time being. Although the bloody barbs wouldn't kill Li Yangtian, it wouldn't be good to get hurt. After all, the battle had just begun, and they were ready to fight for 3 days and 3 nights for hundreds of rounds. No need. Li Yangtian snorted coldly when he heard Haibinghun's voice. His whole body's momentum exploded in an instant, and endless high-temperature flames wrapped his body inside. The flames were like rainbows, and the distant firelight illuminated the dark sea of stars. Like a light bulb. The temperature of the flames was still rising rapidly. He wanted to melt the barbs of Hades. Barbarians are barbarians, extremely rude. The Sea Soul saw that Li Yangtian rejected its kindness, and shook his head. The slender figure quickly spun on the spot. As it spun, a trace of ice mist emanated from its body and slowly formed into indestructible ice. The ice condensed and formed into a 2-meter-high ice coffin in an instant, wrapping its body. The ice coffin is only 2 meters high and 1 meter wide. Although it is not big, it is full of essence. The old man Dowdy, who had just swallowed a bloody barb and had a stomachache, saw several bloody barbs shooting at him. His face was bitter. After gritting his teeth fiercely, the fierce shadow of Dowdy appeared again. This time, it was not a head that could solve it. This time, he directly revealed the entire Dowdy phantom, opened his bloody mouth, and waited for the bloody barbs to fall into his trap. What else can he do? He can only eat it. It depends on whether he can eat it. Unlike the defensive postures of others, the half-saint of the outer city was silent and slowly drew out his sword. Attack is the best defense. He wanted to chop off all the barbs coming towards him. This half-saint of the outer city was also a human, but he did not belong to Blue Star, but to the outer city. When the solar system was broken, he was promoted to the heavenly fate realm, and then he left Blue Star and went to the Sea of Stars to fight and train. His cultivation and half-saint realm were all gained by killing. It was this killing that made him not return to Blue Star for more than 100 years. If he survives this time, he will go back to his hometown to take a look. The half-saint of the sword thought to himself. The old president's dragon-inducing unparalleled dragon control formation blocked all the bloody barbs that wanted to attack him 100 meters away. With every collision, the old president's body trembled slightly. After a few times, his already pale face became even paler. The Dean consumed a lot of spiritual power and expanded the black hole to a size of 100 meters. One after another, the bloody barbs were sucked in and then disappeared silently. Tagore was a real man. He used his body to confront the bloody barbs head-on. Every time he hit, the powerful impact made him retreat more than 10 steps before he could stabilize his body. His face gradually turned red. Li Yangtian gritted his teeth and exuded an unparalleled flame. The bloody barbs melted before they reached him. Hai Binghun lay in the ice coffin with his eyes closed, as if he was really dead. Under the beautiful, elegant, and proud appearance, there was a gender that was neither male nor female. Every bloody barb wanted to enter its body to find out. The old man Dogui's face turned red, his face kept twitching, and blood kept flowing from the corners of his mouth, dripping in the air one by one. This was the blood of a semi-saint, this was the blood of a fierce beast, but unfortunately no one was there to catch it. With the impact of wave after wave of bloody barbs, everyone's expression became heavy, and their hearts gradually sank to the bottom. The battle had just begun, but they were being led by Hades without any ability to fight back. What should they do? The old president of Holy Light and the old man, the dean, frowned and thought about how to break the deadlock. Of course, they were consuming spiritual energy, and so was Hades, so they did not gain nothing. The impact of bloody barbs lasted for more than 10 minutes. When there were no more bloody barbs on Hades' back, its back was really scrapped. Originally, the half-saint holding a knife was assigned to the back of Hades, just to let him cut off all the bloody barbs. However, before the half-saint holding a knife made a move, all the bloody barbs on Hades' back were fired. This can also be regarded as an unexpected gain. Although it was just an unexpected gain from being passively beaten. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Why are all of them passive skills? Author, Bouletin G. Bayet. Chapter 401. When all the bloody barbs on Pluto's back were fired, they stopped growing, exposing all the dark bones on his back. Without the supply of new energy, Pluto's back was useless. This was an unexpected gain. After all, he was considered a slave of all of you. Although he was passively beaten, it was a surprise to directly destroy a small part of Pluto's body. However, everyone's expressions were a bit weird. Was this aggrieved? Or humiliated? After all the bloody barbs fell into the abyss of the star sea, everyone breathed a sigh of relief, and the defenses in front and behind were all cancelled. And now, when the new wave of energy in the white energy ball was exhausted, Pluto's huge body paused again, completely still. In fact, according to the changes in the situation, our strategic state must also be changed. Someone said after coughing twice. That's right. That's it? The half-saint holding a knife, who was originally assigned to be responsible for the bloody barbs on Pluto's back, no longer has a mission. Each of them was responsible for a part of Pluto's body, and that was only a temporary way of fighting based on a small amount of intelligence. Now we know that Pluto's body will have a certain period of restart stagnation after each energy is exhausted. During this time, Pluto will not move. Then it's their turn to act. Everyone's eyes saw that they were going together. Now, whether to act together or collectively, this is a question. Everyone looked at the old president, waiting for him to make a decision. Pluto's stagnation period, time is tight, every minute and every second is very precious. The old president's brain worked as fast as possible, and after just a few seconds, he made up his mind. Assemble, Pluto's right leg bone. The old president said in a deep voice. Don't hit someone in the face, kill them first by hitting their legs. As long as the leg bones of Pluto's body are broken, its huge body will be inconvenient to move, which is also a disadvantage of its huge body. If one of Pluto's legs is broken, its nearly 10,000 feet body will drag him down. The huge body will collapse. Not only that. Their eyes were on the edge of Pluto. The distance here is not far from the edge of Pluto. If Pluto can be knocked down along the edge of Pluto, there is a chance to make Pluto fall directly into the abyss of the Sea of Stars. The depths of the Sea of Stars are dark, and that is where no one can reach. The land of no abyss. Once, there was a semi-saint who flew down again from the inanimate area in the deepest part of the solar system, and kept sinking, wanting to reach the deepest part of the solar system, and wanted to know if there was a way to the outside of the solar system in the deep. However, there was only darkness below, like a bottomless pit, with no bottom. The semi-saint fell for several months and could not see the bottom of the solar system. The endless darkness made him feel terrified, and finally chose to give up and came up. So, this is also one of their ways to win. Directly hit Pluto into the bottomless abyss. According to the way Pluto's body collapses, as long as Pluto is knocked down from the back, it will tilt and collapse forward. If this is the case, nearly half of Pluto's body will be suspended above Pluto. At that time, we will find a way to push Pluto into the bottomless pit. This is the current strategy. Let's go around to the back. The old president suggested that they went through the gap between the empty shell and bones from the front of Pluto and went around to the back of Pluto. Then, everyone's hot eyes were all on Pluto's right leg. Cut it. Use the most powerful attack method, and you must hit it with one shot. Focus a little and make sure to break Pluto's right leg. After the old president finished speaking, hundreds of long swords appeared from his side in one breath. The swords were sharp and the tips were sharp, flashing and trembling. There are really many mass-produced flying swords. The long swords formed a sword formation with extremely strong lethality. Hurry up. Damn it, it's finally my special time. Li Yangtian was excited, the flames on his body were burning fiercely. Compared with defense, he still preferred to attack. The 7 semi-saints attacked together, focusing on attacking Pluto's right leg, trying to break a part of its right leg during Pluto's stagnation period. Finally here. Yejing drove the battleship and stayed above Pluto, only 100 miles away from Pluto. It's so big. Gray's eyes widened, raised his hand and looked up at Pluto's huge body, and couldn't help but sigh. He couldn't help but take out his mobile phone and took a picture of Pluto's huge body. "What are you doing?" Zhao Danggong asked in confusion. Gray said, "As a matter of course I took a picture, and when I return to Blue Star, I will post it on WeChat Moments and Weibo. This will definitely increase my fans." At this time, "What the hell are you thinking about?" Yejing said with a dark face, "Let's talk about it when you can live to return to Blue Star." "Then what should we do next?" Zhao Danggong asked. "Now that we have arrived at Pluto, what should we do next? We will not get off the warship and join the melee, right? The undead and creatures below are all intertwined and are fighting fiercely. If they also join the melee, what will be the result? 3 little ghosts, joining this level of melee. Of course, it is equivalent to self-destruction." The 3 of them trembled all over, and showed resistance on their faces. Yejing coughed lightly and turned his eyes to Zhao Danggong. "If it's you, how can you control it?" "Control it?" Zhao Danggong was slightly stunned, then reacted, and remembered what he had discussed with Yejing before. After thinking about it, he calculated his remaining lifespan and sighed. "As long as there is a target, prepare for a few minutes, and then consume a lot of lifespan, that's it?" "A few minutes? Are you sure it's a few minutes and not a few seconds?" Yejing said in shock. "That's a transcendental bone dragon. Who can resist it for a few minutes? You can't ask him to resist it, right? Is it really too reluctant? Put the target directly on the bone dragon. How can it be just a few seconds? Even if I engrave the formation, it will take 3 minutes. No, no, no. 3 minutes is too long, right? Can't you consume a little more life and shorten the time?" "Brother. That's life. Not vitality, but real life." "Well, it's going to be consumed anyway, so what does it matter if it's more or less? Don't make a fuss, it's not your life, of course you don't care." The conversation between the 2 made Gray on the side look confused, and asked, "What are you 2 talking about?" He hadn't been on the battleship before, and didn't know what they had said before. "Oh." Yejing looked calm. "We are discussing how to catch a bone dragon." "Bone dragon?" Gray looked through the big screen and finally put his eyes on a bone dragon flying recklessly. He couldn't help swallowing his saliva, pointing at the big screen, and said with difficulty, "Are you talking about this? This is a supernatural bone dragon that is 2 realms higher than us, with no physical attacks and immune to spiritual attacks." Zhao Danggong nodded. "Yes, it is it. What's wrong? Isn't it handsome? Are your brains filled with shit?" Gray exploded instantly, and immediately said angrily, "This is a bone dragon. How can we beat it with only 3 of us? Can't we set the target lower?" "What do you mean by low?" Yejing asked. Gray pointed to the mass-produced undead skeleton on the ground and said, "Like this. Isn't this a human-level undead?" Yejing and Zhao Danggong looked at him with contempt, not knowing what to say. "Can you say this? That's better than you setting your sights on the bone dragon." Yejing shook his head and said, "It's not about killing, but controlling." He pointed at Zhao Danggong and said, "This man has a secret technique that can control the bone dragon. As long as the 2 of us can hold on for 1 minute." "No, no, no, not 1 minute, 3 minutes. No difference." "There is a difference, but this is 3 times the lifespan consumption." After a series of arguments, they set their sights on a lonely, smaller bone dragon. "Let's take it. Let's take it." Yejing drove the warship to the vicinity of the bone dragon and around the bone dragon. "You 2, hold on for 2 minutes and 13 seconds. Zhao Danggong took out the golden shovel. Yejing asked, "Can we engrave inside the warship?" Zhao Danggong nodded, but when engraving, it cannot be interrupted, so please go out and fight. Go out and fight. For the bone dragon. Take me to fly. Yejing opened the hatch and grabbed Gray's arm. Then, he jumped down with Gray. You are too sudden. Falling from the sky again, Gray grabbed Yejing's wrist, spread his wings, and the two flew into the sky. In the air, Yejing also took out his golden knife and aimed it at the bone dragon on the ground. Strike first and gain the upper hand. Yejing said, move me directly above the bone dragon. Yes. Gray followed Yejing's command and slowly approached the bone dragon. After arriving directly above the bone dragon, Yejing took a deep breath, his expression gradually became solemn, and his hands tightly grasped the golden knife. Let me go. When Gray let Yejing go, Yejing tightly grasped the golden knife and fell from the sky, before the bone dragon could react. A flash of golden light chopped the right wing of the bone dragon. His first goal was to destroy the bone dragon's wings. Bang! Hardness and hardness confronted each other, and Yejing's hands were numb. The first attack on the enemy triggers the multiplier max, causing 5 times the damage. Attack the enemy, trigger the bleeding max, the enemy has no blood, the trigger fails. Attack the enemy, trigger the poisoning max, the enemy enters the poisoning state, and the maximum health value is forced to be damaged by 10%. Abyss strike, ignore the level defense, and cause true damage. As these pieces of information flashed through Yejing's mind, the right wing of the bone dragon exploded in an instant, and countless cracks appeared on the gray bones. One strike, this is Yejing's most powerful strike. In just a moment, the right wing of the bone dragon was broken. Success. Yejing was delighted and turned over to land safely in mid-air. Then, a furious voice rang in his ears. Don't break it. I'm still waiting to use it. Zhao Danggong's furious voice came from the battleship. Really troublesome. Yejing cursed secretly, why don't you let me resist? This means I will be beaten while standing. Stop dreaming. Really, wouldn't it be in vain to destroy my life? Zhao Hanbang was in the battleship, muttering dissatisfied. The golden shovel in his hand was shining, connected to his body, and streams of fluorescence flowed out of his body and slowly flowed into the golden shovel. This is his lifespan. Zhao stretched out his golden shovel on the horizontal bar, carved in the void, and a faint purple mark appeared. Following Zhao's horizontal bar movement, a purple 6-pointed star array appeared above the bone dragon's head. The 6-pointed star array exuded brilliance and enveloped the bone dragon. 2 minutes and 13 seconds. Hold on. I'm so numb to you. It takes 2 minutes for the engraving to take effect. But the bone dragon is erupting because of Yejing's sudden attack. Roar. A roar full of cruelty came from the bone dragon's mouth, and the blood-red color in its eyes suddenly increased. Powerful energy fluctuations burst out from the bone dragon's body. Such an explosive energy blew Yejing dozens of meters away in the blink of an eye. Damn it! What a strong wind! Yejing's heart was shocked, and his body was almost exploded by this energy wave. Sure enough, it is worthy of being a high-level bone dragon, but there is still a big gap. Don't let the bone dragon get out of the 6-pointed star formation. At the same time, Zhao Hanban's annoying voice came from the battleship again. Are you asking me to go and die directly? Yejing's face darkened, he gritted his teeth, and after a slight hesitation, his legs exploded and he went straight towards the bone dragon. The figure flickered, leaving a series of after-images behind him, and got close to the crotch of the huge bone dragon. As this kind of bone dragon is smaller, the contrast is only compared to other bone dragons. In front of this 100-meter-tall bone dragon, Yejing looked very small. Yejing was like a small ant, shuttled under the bone dragon. This was the advantage of his small body. However, the reason why an extraordinary creature is an extraordinary creature is because of its power. The bone dragon raised its huge foot high, moved very quickly, covering Yejing's sight, and stepped down. So fast. Yejing's face changed slightly, and he quickly rolled to dodge. Under Zhao Hanban's warning, Yejing didn't dare to take action. Although he couldn't defeat the bone dragon, he could still cause damage. He could only hide in order to live up to Zhao's life on the horizontal bar. Can you hurry up? Yejing couldn't help but raise his head and roared angrily. I want to too. But his lifespan doesn't allow it. Do you need my help? Gray held his arms and stood in the air, in a wait-and-see state. Then you should come down. Yejing was feeling tired while dodging the bone dragon's attack. Sure enough, they are all useless people. Not even a little busy. When can I meet some useful subordinates? No, they are friends. Why are all of them passive skills? Author, Bouletin G. Bayet. Chapter 402. As time passed, and Yejing dodged in embarrassment, the six-pointed star array on the top of the bone dragon was gradually completed. Densely packed chain imprints appeared on the hexagram array, and the faint shadow of the chain landed on the bone dragon, entangled. It's almost done. Hold on. Zhao Xiangbang's face was pale and bloodless, with nosebleeds, and he said forcefully, I'm really holding on. 10 seconds later, just when Yejing couldn't help but fight back, the six-pointed star array above the bone dragon's head suddenly flashed with a strong light, and countless chain entities shot out from the six-pointed star array, locking directly to the bone dragon. Roar! As if it sensed some unusual situation, the huge body of the bone dragon began to struggle violently. Above its head, an inexplicable mark suddenly appeared on the empty skull. The seal sealed the bone dragon's mind, gradually obliterating its sense of autonomy. Well, although undead creatures like bone dragons have no sanity to speak of. Perhaps it's because of the undead creatures, which are easy to control, that Zhao can succeed on the horizontal bar. Yejing Shen was afraid that the bone dragon would go berserk. When the six-pointed star array was completed, he had already fled far away to prevent the rampaging bone dragon from harming him. Gray flew down from above, grabbed Yejing's hand, and pulled him into the air, feeling extremely gay. You're down at this time, Yejing complained. I am your tool aircraft, so naturally I cannot be harmed. Gray smiled awkwardly, and he dragged Yejing into the air and returned to the battleship. Returning to the battleship again, when they saw the condition of Zhao's horizontal bar, their expressions changed slightly. Damn it, what is going on? I saw Zhao Xingbang now, with no blood on his face, a trace of blood at the corner of his mouth, and a sluggish expression, as if his whole body had been hollowed out. Isn't this the end of your life? Yejing couldn't help but think. Hey, are you okay? Gray looked at Zhao Xingban with some worry. Although he didn't know what was going on, it might be a little bad if he died like this, right? Fine. Zhao Xingbang forced a smile on his face and wiped the blood from the corner of his mouth. His head was a little dizzy. After Yejing and the others returned to the battleship, they turned their attention to the bone dragon. Countless physical chains were locked out of the six-pointed star array and entangled in the bone dragon's body. Is this done? It's done. The first bone dragon. As Zhao horizontal bar relaxed, his whole body collapsed to the ground. It had to be said that the secret technique of forcibly transcending levels to control the bone dragon caused too much harm to the body, and the disappearing lifespan also made him feel distressed. However, there is no regret in being able to control a small bone dragon. After a long moment of slowing down, Zhao stood up slowly on the horizontal bar and looked at the bone dragon outside the big screen with excitement on his face. This was probably the weakest of these undead bone dragons. It was only 100 meters tall. It stopped its violent movements and stood motionless on the spot. Is this control completed? Yejing asked curiously. Zhao Xingbang nodded with satisfaction. Try it. Facing the motionless bone dragon, Zhao horizontal bar gave the first command. Sit down. Following Zhao's horizontal bar order, bone dragon, who was motionless on the ground, suddenly sat down on the ground. Raise your hands. Bone dragon raised his hand very obediently. Kneel down. Zhao started playing with the horizontal bar like a new toy, and became more and more excited as he played. By the way, what order did you give the bone dragon? This is not a puppy. Moreover, how should such a big bone dragon kneel down? However, following Zhao's horizontal bar instructions, bone dragon really knelt down. I saw the bone dragon's huge leg bones bending, a dull sound sounded, and it fell to its knees with a bang. Fun. Several people laughed happily, their faces full of interest. The dog barks. The more Zhao played on the horizontal bar, the happier he became. No, 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 what are you talking about? A bone dragon can't bark like a dog, right? Is your brain going crazy? Yejing said with a dark look on his face. Zhao Xingbang looked confused. Can't you? Of course not. It's not the same breed at all. Not necessarily, right? That's for sure. Just as the two were talking, a wolf came out from nowhere, and they were stunned for an instant. Then, they all turned their attention to the silent bone dragon. Dog barking? Was it a dog barking just now? Oh my god. What's wrong with this world? It looks like it's a bit fun. At the same time, Bone Dragon, who was waiting for orders, seemed to be confused. What was I doing? Okay. The first one is over, let's continue looking for the next target, Yejing said casually. For it. This sentence was like a bucket of cold water poured on Zhao Hanbang's head. His legs are still weak to this day. I feel like, let's forget it, Zhao Hanbang said with a forced smile. He really didn't want to continue. His own life was still important. Don't you want to have an army of bone dragon undead? Yejing's words were like the whispers of a devil, full of temptation. Of course I do. Zhao Xiangbang gritted his teeth and said, I just want to think about it, but my lifespan doesn't allow it. He was entangled with the bone dragon army and his lifespan. And during this pause, suddenly, an earth-shaking explosion came from the other side of Pluto. The sky is falling apart. The earth shook. This loud noise was like a planet exploding, attracting everyone's attention. What is this sound? After Yejing, Zhao Xingba and Gray looked at each other, their eyes flashed with horror, and they turned to look at the explosion. Other side. The dark sky over there was illuminated by the light of the explosion. The sky and the ground seemed to be two colors, white at the top and black at the bottom. The two colors were isolated in the central area. It's like heaven and hell. Over there is the direction of Pluto. What happened? Did it succeed? The half-saints showed signs of weakness and turned their attention to Hades. The powerful explosion shook up countless smoke and dust. They would attack together, use their most powerful attacks, focus on them, and attack Pluto's right leg together. I don't know if I can break the right leg of Pluto's body. Not to mention smashing it, at least break it. After the dust gradually subsided, Pluto's body was revealed like a giant pillar reaching the sky. Success. When they saw Pluto's right leg again, excitement appeared on their faces. Finally, it worked. On Pluto's right leg, 100-meter-sized pit appeared, and the dark bones were shattered and fell to the ground. Dark cracks appeared from Pluto's right leg and spread around, covering Pluto's entire right leg in the blink of an eye. Shattered. In an instant, Pluto's huge body lost its balance. His right leg had lost the power to support the body, and his balance failed. It's going to fall. Quickly retreat. Everyone's expressions darkened, and they hurriedly moved away and hid on both sides. If Pluto's 10,000 feet body were to be smashed, even the body of a semi-saint would be smashed into pulp, Right? Plan successful. Hades is going to fall. The body that was originally standing upright began to tilt slightly, and slowly, it collapsed in one direction. For a moment, everyone's faces were extremely excited. This was their first success. However, this excitement did not last long at all. 10 seconds later, the faces of the 7 half-saints, originally red with excitement, slowly turned dark, turning from red to black, from black to green, and finally pale. You. After Li Yangtian saw this scene, he immediately exploded. An angry curse came out of his mouth. It's backwards, it's backwards, it's backwards. Tagore shouted with horror on his face. It's over, it's over. It's over. No, no, no. That's simply not right. Everyone is confused. They were clearly attacking from behind Pluto. According to the impact and calculation, they must have fallen forward. But why? Hades collapsed with his back facing him. In front of Pluto, there is a flat bottom and even half of the void. Behind Pluto is a tragic battlefield. I really hummed your ancestor. Everyone's eyes turned red instantly. After the smoke disappeared, everyone below saw this scene. On the battleship, Yejing and others were in a wait-and-see state, a little confused. Huh? Look, is Pluto tilted? Zhao Xingbang said with a puzzled face. Ha ha ha, you really know how to joke. How can a body as big as Pluto tilt? If it really tilted down, wouldn't it explode? Yejing patted Zhao Xingbar on the shoulder and laughed. No, I feel like I really fell down. At this time, Gray also said with a confused look. Why do you say that? Yejing replied with disbelief, and then turned his attention to Hades. The next second, he also exploded. It. Yejingdu was speechless, his eyes widened, and while pointing at Pluto's collapsed body, he looked at Zhao Xingban and Gray in shock. It seems to have really fallen over. Damn it, those big guys were really killed by Pluto. Gray said in a trembling voice with an excited look on his face. However, no one is paying attention to him now. Because, there is still something wrong. Don't you think the direction in which it collapsed is a little wrong? Yejing and others were in the sky. There are people on the ground. Saw it too. Below, everyone was staring up at the huge black shadow in the sky heading towards them with their mouths open. After just a few seconds of silence, the noisy sound of despair exploded instantly. Pluto has fallen. Hades' body is going to fall. He fell down this way. Run, run, run. Run. How should we run away? This time we are really dead. Pluto's body covered the whole battlefield. If it collapsed, they would all die. Nothing can be done. There is no time to escape. Dispersed in a hurry. A strong sense of despair arose spontaneously. Even so, they turned around and ran away without hesitation. Dead to death. Dead to death. On the battleship, Zhao Hanbang murmured desperately. This time, I'm really dead. Gray muttered to himself with dull eyes. Yejing. He secretly breathed a sigh of relief and said that fortunately I have several lives. Pooh. Is this the time to think about this? A single smash to Pluto's body would directly wipe out their entire army. This is 10,000 times more serious than the destruction of the Blue Star 1st Expeditionary Force. This is the elite of many races in the entire solar system. If Pluto smashed them all to death in one breath, the losses would no longer be described as heavy. Can you stop it? The face of the old guild leader Xuanhuan turned gloomy and dark, and his heart was as heavy as a huge stone weighing 10,000 kilograms. Can't stop it? The dean said with a bitter look on his face. Several of them worked together to break one of Pluto's right legs, and not all of it was broken. This body was so huge that no one could stop it from collapsing. And the destruction of the coalition forces. Everyone's faces were dark, and they clenched their fists. After killing one of Pluto's legs, would the entire army be annihilated? The price is unimaginable. The old president of Xuanhuan Guild said dumbly, "All my juniors are here." The dean said, "Mine is also there." Tagore said, "Mine too." Liang Tiandao, "Mine too." Hai Binghun said, "Mine too." The half-saint holding the sword said, "Mine too." The gluttonous old man, "Mine too." Just when the gluttonous old man was about to follow, he was suddenly speechless. He has no descendants and has always been alone. Suddenly, the face of the gluttonous old man was uncertain. He put one hand on his stomach, forcing the stomach that had been in a state of twisting and severe pain, and his expression became tangled. "I might, really, die." The gluttonous old man thought to himself, with a lonely look on his face. Even if he died, there would be no one to see him off. He looked at the other half-saints beside him who were distressed, and he understood clearly. He does not belong to this era at all. This is not his time. No relatives. No old friends. No blood. Nothing. Always alone. There was no name left in the previous era, and no one knows about this era. I am a holy beast. Suddenly, the gluttonous old man said these words, attracting everyone's attention. "What do you want to do?" The dean suddenly felt something was wrong and asked subconsciously. "Nothing." The gluttonous old man shook his head, with a relieved smile on his face, as if the knot in his heart had been untied. "I was barely surviving, so it was time to leave." His stomach was still hurting. He had endured the severe pain for countless years and finally wanted to stop talking. Since it is the remaining sacred beast in the solar system. You have to do something after all, right? Before the other half-saints could say anything. I saw all the energy that old man Dowdy had been using to suppress his stomach burst out, and under the incredulous gaze of everyone, he flew towards the direction of Pluto's collapse. For hundreds of years, he has been using most of his strength to suppress his stomach and has never shown his true form. This time, explode with all your strength. Tao Hu's true form appears again after an era. Why are all of them passive skills? Author, Buletin G. Bayet. Chapter 403. In the last era, there were many legendary holy beasts. 5-clawed purple gold dragon, fire phoenix, gold, wood, water, fire, earth unicorn, kun, and so on. And among these holy beasts, Dowdy is also one of them. It's just that in the legends of the previous era, although the Dowdy was a sacred beast, many people called it a ferocious beast. Tao Huan, who has been single for 2 generations, has no bloodline left. Wow, this sentence feels so sad. The gluttonous old man is the last glutton in the solar system and is extinct. Well, although other holy beasts can no longer be seen in the solar system. Ever since old man Dowdy woke up from the depths of the sea of stars, he has been using a lot of strength to suppress his stomach injuries, and has never shown his true form for more than 100 years. This time, it was the first time in this era that he revealed his true form, and it was also the last time. Under the shocked gazes of all the semi-saints, the Dowdy old man soared into the sky. The long black robe was waving in the air, and in the blink of an eye, the shadow of a huge ferocious beast that covered the sky and the sun appeared. The Tao Huan is more than 3,000 meters long and 500 meters wide. Its whole body is pitch black, like a big fish, with hard scales and a wide mouth. It is ferocious and cruel. There is a conspicuous scar hundreds of meters long under Doan's real body, in his stomach. This may be the reason why Doan was seriously injured. Is this Dowdy? The old president of Xuanhuan narrowed his eyes and murmured to himself. It's big, but it doesn't look big. Tagore said naively, his body was more than 1,000 meters tall, and it was less than twice the distance from Tao Huan's real body. The dean looked at the Dowdy flying in the sky with a gloomy face, not knowing whether to stop it or turn a blind eye. After his true form appeared, they all knew what Old Man Dowdy wanted to do and what he could do. This is something that only Old Man Dowdy can do. Neither can anyone else. Inexplicably, everyone suddenly felt a guilty sense of joy in their hearts. Because if the gluttonous old man takes action, their racial subordinates will live. But in the same way, the gluttonous old man died. This is strong support. Although everyone knew what was going on, no one spoke up to stop them and they all fell silent. This may be the choice of the gluttonous old man. Just when they are silent, the huge glutton in the sky, accompanied by a shadow, flew towards the direction where Pluto collapsed. In just an instant, he flew under Pluto's collapsed body. The huge body stayed high in the sky, isolating the people who were fleeing on the ground from the Pluto who was about to collapse. He alone cannot prevent Pluto from collapsing, but there is a stupid way, which is to hold Pluto back and give others time to evacuate. Below, the people who had originally fled in all directions were stunned when they saw the true form of the ferocious beast suddenly appeared, looking up, not knowing what would happen. "Get out of here!" The gluttonous old man's voice echoed in the sky and reached everyone's ears. Then, people who were in a desperate state of giving up suddenly had hope of living. What kind of creature is that? Who has seen it before? I don't know. Who knows anything? What the hell are you talking about? Run away. Ye Jingzhao, who was on the battleship, didn't recognize Dowdy when he saw Dowdy's true form on the horizontal bar. It wasn't until the sound rang out that he recognized Dowdy. "Is this the gluttonous old man?" Zhao Xingbang asked in surprise. "It looks like it, right?" Ye Jing said a little uncertainly. This should be the real body of Old Man Dowdy, but he didn't expect it to be so big. "What does he want to do?" Gray asked curiously. Ye Jing looked at the gluttonous old man sandwiched between the ground and Hades with complex eyes, vaguely knowing what he wanted to do. "This is beyond our control, let's go first." Ye Jing shook his head and controlled the battleship to fly into the distance. On the ground, Xiao Qinglian, who was retreating with Wu Honglian, suddenly stopped, with a look of sadness on her face. This is a relic from the same era as hers. After this time, it may really become a relic. Why? After letting out a sigh, Xiao Qinglian withdrew her gaze and quickly walked away. "Perhaps, we should not exist in this era." Although the gluttonous old man has turned into his true form, his consciousness is still there. His eyes are on the body of Pluto pressing down on him, and a long white breath flows out from the tip of his nose. 1 minute. 2 minutes. 5 minutes. In full view of everyone, Pluto's body fell down. One mountain collapses on another, and one building collapses on another. The strong crushes the weak. After a loud sound that reached the sky, Pluto's body came into complete contact with Tau 11's true body. Just for the moment of pressing down, Tau Hua's real body, which was originally high in the sky, was suddenly pressed down thousands of meters by this huge weight. The hard scales were shattered in the blink of an eye, and the flesh and blood were blurred. Silks of black blood fell down like a heavy rain, and sprinkled on it. It fell on everyone who had not yet escaped, soaking their whole bodies. Roar! 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 A roar full of unwillingness and pain came from the mouth of Tao Hu's real body, which was earth-shaking. This is such a sad and lonely sound, which resonates in the hearts of countless people. The huge shadow fell, and when the Dahu real body was less than a kilometer away from the ground, it stopped. Wrong. I'm holding on. Daju's real body held up the Hades 10,000 feet body. With a physical difference of nearly 3 times and a weight difference of nearly 10 times, he was lifted up in the air by the old man Daju. So awesome. And this awesomeness consumed the remaining life of the old man Daju. Daju is really amazing. The dean who had the longest contact with the old Mandaju exclaimed. If it was him, if it was them, they would not even dare to think about lifting the 10,000 feet body of Hades. But the old Mandaju held up under this heavy pressure. At this time, I have to say that he is still stronger. The old president of Xuanhuan said so. The other half-lives who had little contact with the old Mandaju were all silent, looking at the struggling Daju's real body with gratitude. The action of the old Mandaju truly saved hundreds of thousands of elite young people from all the tribes below. This was a great favor, and it was a favor that could not be repaid. He probably couldn't resist this time. In fact, the old Mandaju could ignore it. After all, there were no young people of his below. Except for Xiao Qinglian, the lives of others had nothing to do with him. If the old Mandaju chose to withdraw, he might still be able to survive for a while. However, I don't know if this is dignity or a sense of mission as a holy beast. He chose to stand up. He used his own body to forcibly hold up the 10,000 feet of Hades. And the price was his own death. As if a planet was pressing on him, Daju's true body was shattered, and countless cracks appeared on his scales, covering his entire body in a moment. The white cracks and the black scales intertwined together, and pieces of blood rain flowed from the gaps like a flood. Although it was able to withstand the 10,000 feet of Hades, this was only temporary. Roar! Roar! Bursts of painful roars came from the mouth of Daji's true body. As time went by, the body of Daji was slowly falling. 1,000 meters. 900 meters. 800 meters. When it really hits the ground, it will be like the collapse of the sky and the crack of the earth. Hurry up and get out of this range, don't let down the sacrifice of old Mandaji. A certain extraordinary person who knew old Mandaji said so. The people who had stopped to watch bowed deeply to old Mandaji and quickly got out. As long as they got out of the range of the 10,000 feet of Hades, they would be safe. Whether they could escape or not depended on how long old Mandaji could hold on. Roar! 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 The roar of Daji's true body became lower and lower, and the distance from the ground became lower and lower. His true body was already in pieces, his stomach was bleeding, and his huge mouth that he used to devour everything slowly closed. Is this what it feels like to be about to die? The old Mandogui was a little confused, and the pain in his body had decreased a lot, perhaps because his nerves exploded and he could not feel it. Countless images appeared in his mind, and one memory fragment after another surged out from the depths of his mind. Is this a revolving lantern before death? The memories of the last era, which were originally sealed by the unknown, are being restored. That is the memory of his rampage in the solar system. That is the memory of the fall of the Holy Spirit and the collapse of the times. That is the memory of him sleeping in the depths of the star sea and lingering. In memory. One by one, the familiar Holy Spirits died in the destruction, and one by one, the true saints disappeared in the universe. Everyone was fleeing outside the solar system, some people ran out, and some people did not run out. What other memories are there? He saw the virus rushing in from outside the solar system. He saw countless demons invading the solar system. He saw the abyss coming. These are all real memories, these are things that have happened. The creatures of the last era, those who escaped fled to the depths of the universe, and those who did not escape all died in the solar system. And he is a deserter. He did not choose to coexist with the times, but chose to seal himself and sleep at the lowest end of the sea of stars. This may be fate. The old Mandaji smiled bitterly in his heart. He recognized it. This unknown creature they called Pluto is a virus from the last era. In that era, he chose to escape. In this era, he chose to fight to the death. That's right. The huge shadow is descending. The old Mandaji no longer has a trace of strength. He is still holding on. The internal organs in his real body have begun to break. The black blood rain keeps falling. His body is slowly shrinking. From 3,000 meters, to 2,000 meters, to 1,000 meters. The distance to the ground is getting closer. 800 meters. 700 meters. 500 meters. Damn it, why haven't they all run away yet? Are you going to let an old man like me die in such pain? The old Mandogui cursed in his heart. He did not belong to this era and had already begun to withdraw from the stage. Slowly, his heart stopped beating. Slowly, he closed his eyes. Slowly, he had no breath. 10 minutes later. When the last person escaped. 300 meters. 200 meters. 100 meters. The 10,000 feet body of Hades collapsed. Silent. No. As if the world was destroyed, the loud noise of a planetary explosion spread in all directions with unparalleled impact force. Boom. The sky collapsed and the earth split. This piece of Pluto fell apart directly. The huge cracks split Pluto into hundreds of canyons. Pluto's 10,000 feet body fell. The smoke and dust flew, blocking everyone's sight, and buried Pluto again. Last time, when millions of cannons were fired at the same time, everyone watched from thousands of miles away. But this time, it was close at hand. Right in front of them. Cough. 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 The smoke, dust, haze, and coughing made the air polluted. But even so, no one ran away. Hundreds of thousands of people stopped a few thousand meters away from Pluto's 10,000 feet body. It was such a close distance. Stop and look. Hundreds of thousands of people's sights, from the sky to the ground, all looked at the dust. Just waiting like this. The smoke and dust dissipated. The collapsed body of Hades was revealed. The energy of the white energy ball had not yet begun to be supplied, and Hades stopped again. Deep pits and cracks were smashed into the ground. Deji's real body was gone, and it seemed that he had returned to the appearance of old Mandaji. It was too difficult to check an old man who was less than 2 meters tall in 1,000 feet. At this moment, the Dean who had been floating in the air in the distance moved. The space around him twisted, and a silver door appeared in front of him. The Dean stepped into the silver door and disappeared on the spot. The next second, he appeared under the body of Hades, with black bones full of cracks. He sensed the breath of old Mandaji, and after a few after-images passed by, the Dean found old Mandaji in the ruins. Old Mandaji's body was broken, like a broken cup stuck with transparent tape. It was no longer complete. Sure enough, is he dead again? The Dean gently carried the body of the old Mandogui out of the ruins, carefully, fearing that the old man's body would be broken into pieces. His face was full of sorrow. Time, space. The Dean had seen a trace of the shadow of this war in time and space. The old Mandogui died. He died too. Others died too. Now, the old Mandogui is dead. Next, it's his turn. The Dean had a blank expression on his face. For some reason, he knew that he was dead, but he didn't feel a trace of fear in his heart. He picked up the old Mandogui and wanted to put him in the space, but then hesitated. Putting the body of the old Mandogui in the space was disrespectful to him. The Dean looked around and wanted to find Jizukiu, but he didn't see him. He didn't see Jizukiu, but he saw Yejing in the battleship in the sky. That's also the child of the Demon Academy, right? And it seems that he knows old Mandogui. The Dean thought, and then he moved in space and disappeared. Dean. The Dean who suddenly appeared in the warship scared Yejing and the other two. This is, old Mandogui. Zhao Danggong exclaimed. This is the hero who saved you. After the Dean said this expressionlessly, he gently put old Mandogui's body on the ground. Then, he left. Next. They still have a fight. You are listening to novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Why are all of them passive skills? Author, Buletin G. Bayet. Chapter 404. What should we do? Yejing and his companions looked at each other, looking at the old Mandaji who had already lost his breath on the ground, not knowing what to do. The body of the old Mandaji was like a crystal cup that was about to be broken into pieces, as if it would break and fall apart at the touch. Yejing and Zhao Danggong looked at the old Mandaji on the ground, with a trace of sadness in their eyes, and they felt very uncomfortable. A few months ago, they still met. Although there was a little conflict, the old Mandaji did not make things difficult for them. In general, he was also a good old man. However, they did not expect that when they met again, they would be separated in this way. Moreover, the death of the old Mandaji was also for them. I don't know if other people have the means to save their lives, but if the 10,000 feet body of Hades really fell directly, not to mention Yejing, at least 99.99% of the hundreds of thousands of coalition forces would die. This is equivalent to the annihilation of the entire army. In other words, the old Mandogui used his own life to save the lives of all the coalition forces. Yejing wanted to reach out to touch the body of the old Mandogui, but when he just stretched out halfway, he retracted it again. He was afraid that if he touched it, the body of the old Mandogui would be broken. At least now, the whole body is still there. After a few minutes of silence, Gray suddenly asked, "What should we do next?" Not only him, but also Yejing and Zhao Danggong wanted to ask this question. The body of the old Mandogui is here now, so they can't take the risk of using the warship. Once the warship is damaged, it will involve the destruction of the whole body of the old Mandogui, and that would be a big sin. After a slight hesitation, Yejing turned his eyes to Gray. "How about you fly the battleship to the outside of Pluto, hand over the body of the old Mandaji to other fleets, and then drive back?" Gray was slightly stunned. "I go? Why don't you go by yourself?" Yejing's mouth twitched, and his eyes were a little erratic. "I don't know how to deal with this kind of thing." "I don't know either." Gray refused without hesitation. It's better for him not to care about this kind of thing. After all, the old Mandaji is now the savior of the entire coalition. Once something goes wrong in his hands, his life will be in danger. "But Just when Yejing wanted to say something, suddenly, a heavy and sad voice came from outside the battleship. "Next time." A green light flashed, and the petite body stood in front of the three of them. "Xiao Qinglian, here we are. Leave it to me." Xiao Qinglian said in a flat tone. Her eyes were directly on the old Mandaji on the ground, expressionless, and no sadness could be seen. However, her eye sockets were a little red and swollen. "Are you sure?" Yejing asked cautiously. "Sure," Xiao Qinglian said firmly, and she didn't care whether Yejing and the others agreed or not. She waved her jade hand and reached out to the body of the old Mandogui. As she moved, the green energy full of natural life breath flowed out from her white and tender palm, covering the body of the old Mandogui bit by bit. In a short period of time, a green cocoon with a 360-degree all-round seal was formed, completely protecting the body of the old Mandogui. "Is this the result you want?" Xiao Qinglian's eyes were blurred, and she murmured in her heart. She and the old Mandogui were creatures of the same era, and they were moving forward alone in this era. Now, the only old Mandogui she had ever come into contact with is gone. Her memory of the last era was once again sealed. After protecting the body of the old Mandaji, Xiao Qinglian looked at Yejing with a complicated expression and whispered, "That's it, I'm leaving first, you guys pay attention to safety. I hope you survive." After saying that, without listening to the reply from Yejing and others, she disappeared from everyone's sight. "I also hope you survive," Yejing thought to himself. The dean came and left, the old Mandaji came and left, and Xiao Qinglian came and left. There were still 3 of them left in the warship. Under the warship, there was a bone dragon controlled by Zhao Dangang. What can they do next? Unconsciously, Yejing's eyes turned to the 10,000 feet body of Hades who collapsed on the ground. It's just a hypothesis. The body of Hades has no blood, and bleeding max cannot be triggered. However, it was once experimented on the bone dragon. Bleeding max cannot be triggered, but poisoning max can be triggered. In addition, the abyss power that belongs to him can also cause damage to Hades. There is also the mysterious unknown abyss level skill hero. There is also the orphan's way of a blood vessel, the supernormal constitution that can instantly recover to normal state, and the war of sorrow that can withstand a fatal injury. All these add up. Can I cause a certain amount of damage to Hades and change the situation? In other words, can I participate in the battle to conquer Hades head-on? Yejing struggled in his heart, as if a mountain had hit his heart, and he was extremely depressed. From the beginning, he did not set his sights on Hades. 7 semi-saints, hundreds of extraordinary realms, tens of thousands of what's of destiny realms, among these big guys, his strength is not enough. Originally, he thought so. But now, a crack appeared in his heart. Without any signs, the first semi-saint died. What's next? Will there be a second, third, or fourth place? And then it's their turn. In the end, the war failed and the entire army was wiped out. Once this thought started, it could not be suppressed and kept echoing in his mind. Again. What can I do? This sentence appeared in Yejing's mind. This is not the first time. He clenched his fists tightly, his fingers clenched pale, and his face looked gloomy. Should we believe that other half-saints can defeat Hades and bring victory? It shouldn't be. No one knows whether this war of hundreds of thousands against one can be won. The slightest change will bring about a new battle situation. Call. Suddenly, Yejing let out a deep breath, and his previously restrained breath suddenly burst out, and a powerful force that had never been seen before burst out from his body. What's wrong with you? Seeing the drastically changed Yejing, Zhao Xingbang and Gray couldn't help but look shocked and couldn't help but ask. The next thing, may be a little crazy. Yejing looked at Gray and Gray with piercing eyes, and said firmly, let's go find Hades. Zhao horizontal bar. Gray. What do you mean? Gray's eyes widened and he stared at Yejing. He stretched out his trembling fingers and asked in a trembling voice. You don't have a fever, do you? Or do you want to die by yourself? Zhao Xiangbang looked at Yejing with a strange look. Yejing, who could say this, was already confused. Isn't his mind filled with correction fluid? Yejing did not answer directly, but asked instead, the first half-saint is dead. Do you think this war will be won? This. Zhao Xingbang and Gray were speechless and didn't know how to answer. Is it worth replacing one of the right legs of Pluto's body with a half-saint? It's worth your while. How can there be such a change? The battle has just begun, and a half-saint has already fallen. As the mysterious Pluto takes action, there may be a second, and a third half-saint will continue to fall. By that time, their defeat would be truly decided. Once the semi-saint fails, he may be able to escape from Hades. But what about them? Can't run away at all. Once Pluto is free, any map cannon will be enough to wipe them out. This is the final outcome of death. Thinking of this, Zhao Xiangbang and Gray couldn't help but look bitter, thinking about the worst in everything. Is it really going to fail? Gray raised his head, looked at Yejing with a determined expression, and said hoarsely, even if you say so, the 3 of us in the underground palace realm alone cannot change any situation in the battle. On Pluto, there are hundreds of thousands of people stronger than them, so it's never their turn to intervene. No. Yejing's tone raised several decibels and she retorted loudly. You can't, but I can. What? What do you mean by this? Zhao Xiangbang and Gray looked at Yejing with shocked expressions. They didn't know whether he was arrogant or arrogant. This was the king of Hades. It seems to be the existence of a true saint. You even said it was possible? Are you feeling a bit nervous? You actually want to intervene in this stage of the war? What state is Yejing in? In the underground palace realm, there are also the destiny realm, the extraordinary realm, and the three disaster realms. After so many realms have passed, he is the true saint. If nothing else, Pluto could blow Yejing away thousands of miles with just a breath, right? Yejing ignored the shock of Zhao Xingba and Gray and continued, as for the fate of life and death, it is best to hold this kind of thing in your own hands. Even if you can't hold it, you have to break it with your fingers. This was the reason he gave himself to risk his life to attack Pluto head-on. I have a secret technique that can ignore realms and defenses and hurt Pluto head-on. I have a secret technique that can forcefully cause a certain amount of damage to Hades. Yejing said sincerely, I don't talk about killing Pluto. I just want to do what I can to the best of my ability. Please help me. For it. Zhao Xingban and Gray really didn't know what to say. Secret skill? What secret technique can hurt Pluto across so many realms? Is this some kind of magic? But if, what if? Is this true? Will it help the battle situation a little bit? Not only Yejing, but also Zhao Hanbang and Gray didn't want the Pluto crusade to fail. They do too many things like distant OB. No matter when or where you are, you can't interfere. It will be very uncomfortable. Especially geniuses who are arrogant and conceited. Is Zhao Horizontal Bar a genius? He is in the underground palace realm at a young age and is not far away from his destiny. He has supported a mysterious sect alone since he was a child and stayed in the Blue Star. There is no doubt that he is a genius. Is Gray a genius? When he was just 20, he immediately entered the destiny. His body mutated and he awakened his wings. So far, his 4 wings have allowed him to face the destiny without any fear. There is no doubt that he is also a genius. Geniuses are arrogant. Although it is not obvious, it is both internal and external. What have these 2 geniuses done since joining the Pluto crusade? Did nothing. Nothing. Like parasites and tourists, nothing can be done. This kind of OB makes them feel very uncomfortable. Although this level of battle is not something they can participate in. But if there is even the slightest possibility, who doesn't want to? After a long silence, Zhao Xingbangxian said, what do you want us to do? Let me tell you in advance that we will not do anything that involves death. Then, Gray said, I still remember the scene when you asked me to take you to fall from the small planet fragments to intercept the Omega eggplant light. It was really crazy at that time. Now, why are you so crazy? Hearing the 2 people's replies, Yejing smiled. Some things cannot be accomplished by him alone, and collective cooperation is the most important. He expressed one of his speculations. I have been observing Pluto and found that every time it takes action, there will be a short period of stasis. Think about it, is this true? Zhao Xingban and Gray frowned and thought about Pluto they saw outside the big screen of the battleship. Suddenly, their eyes lit up. It seems like this is really the case. More than that, there is a pure white energy ball in the center of Pluto's body. This is completely different from the painting style of the entire Pluto's body. My target is this white energy ball. The painting style is different from beginning to end, it is simply a 2-dimensional painting style. Pluto's body is covered with black bones. The energy ball is so pale that it is very conspicuous, allowing people to recognize its extraordinary features at a glance. What do you want to do? Zhao Xingbang asked. Yejing expressed the plan he had thought up. He first pointed at the bone dragon on the ground, which had been controlled by Zhao horizontal bar. The first step is that Pluto is surrounded by undead creatures, and warships cannot get close. If this is the case, abandon the warship and choose the bone dragon. If the aura is the same, you will not be attacked. The function of this bone dragon is to cover up the aura. After finishing speaking, Yejing looked at Zhao horizontal bar. The second step is, after we ride the bone dragon and get close to the body of Pluto, you use the golden shovel to open a crack in the space and transport Gray and I to the white energy ball. Then, Yejing looked at Gray again. The third step, after the two of us arrive near the white energy ball, Gray, you take me to fly above the white energy ball and put me down. In the fourth step, after I used my secret technique to attack the white energy ball, Gray took me to transfer and retreated through the space crack in Zhao's horizontal bar. How? After Yejing finished explaining his plan, he waited for Zhao Xingbang and Gray's answers. These steps are simple to say, but dangerous to do. As for the last step, when he attacks the white energy ball, no one knows what will happen. But he still chose to do it. Maybe this is the confidence to have life-saving skills. A heavy breath pressed into the small space. Soon after, someone said, "How about giving it a try first? Then, try it." Why are all of them passive skills? Author, Bulletin Ji Bayet. Chapter 405. Yejing's purpose is very simple, he just wants to participate in the battle against Pluto head-on, and he just wants to lend a helping hand to the semi-saint. Although it is a bit arrogant to say this, he really has the capital to be able to help. As for the help of the semi-saint, if other people heard this, they would not know how to ridicule him. Is he overestimating his ability or having no brains? However, Yejing still planned to do this. It's just like rich people will donate money, dog lovers will adopt stray cats, and powerful supermen will go to fight evil organizations. He just wanted to do something within his power. Yejing's plan is very simple and clear. The three of them brought a bone dragon with them and cooperated with each other. Bone dragon is responsible for taking them to the vicinity of Pluto's body, Zhao horizontal bar is responsible for opening the space crack and sending him and Gray to the white energy ball. Gray is responsible for high altitude throwing objects and dropping him on the white energy ball. He is responsible for attacking the white energy ball. Everyone has a role to play. Everyone has a task. If we want to die, we will die together, and if we want to live, we will live together. Honors are shared together, good brothers go together. Facing Yejing's sincere eyes, Gray and Zhao looked at each other and scratched the back of their heads. Try. Then give it a try. Then give it a try. The two replied. Yejing smiled. Birds of a feather flock together, and to be honest, none of them are honest people. They have been doing trouble since they were young, and they are going further and further on the road to death. This time, death fell on Pluto. Zhao wants money on the horizontal bar, Gray wants fame, and Yejing wants both money and fame. The three sluts worked together and hit it off immediately. We don't know when Pluto will recover, so hurry up and start taking action. Yejing looked up at Gray and suddenly grabbed Gray's right arm. Gray. Zhao Hanban didn't know what Yejing wanted to do, but he subconsciously grabbed Gray's left arm. Gray. The next second, Yejing waved, and the battleship disappeared out of thin air and returned to the 9-square grid of the furnace. Ah! It's fallen, it's fallen, it's fallen. The three of them fell from high altitude. This was Zhao's violent roar from the horizontal bar. I finally know why. With a dark look on his face, Gray stretched out his wings, dragged the two of them, and landed safely on the back of the bone dragon. Yejing was a little excited, and slapped the bone dragon's hard bones. My hand hurt so much, but the bone dragon didn't move at all. This is my mount. Zhao Xingbang said triumphantly, pointed forward with one finger, and said energetically, "Let's go, target Pluto." Following Zhao Xingban's instructions, the bone dragon moved and ran wildly in the direction of Hades. "Are you sure you can hurt Hades?" On the way, Zhao Xingbang said worriedly. Ye Jing nodded firmly, "Don't worry, I won't make fun of your lives." Hey, are you going too far? What do you mean by joking with our lives? What about you? Can you survive? Ye Jing smiled and said nothing, causing Zhao Xiangbang and Gray to change their expression slightly. Why was this smile so unreliable? On the road, everyone was moving away from Hades, but the three of them stood out, riding the bone dragon towards Hades. Such a unique action attracted the attention of many people nearby. Whose junior is this? Is it because his eyesight doesn't work well or he has no sense of direction? He's running backwards. I don't know, 3 underground palace realms, aren't you going to die? Why are they riding a bone dragon? Isn't this the summon of Hades? Is it a spy? Is your spy so low level? Some kind-hearted people nearby couldn't help shouting to remind Ye Jing and the others. You're running the wrong way. We are not blind. Ye Jing was disapproving in her heart, but said nothing. She just smiled and waved at them. It seems that he is really out of his mind. The kind man sighed, he was frightened and didn't care. They were not far from Pluto to begin with, and the bone dragon moved very quickly. In just a few minutes, they arrived near Pluto, their intended location. Ye Jing looked at Zhao horizontal bar, "The next step is up to you." Zhao Xingbang nodded, his expression gradually becoming serious. He took out the golden shovel, and did not act immediately, but asked again. "Are you sure?" He needed to make sure again and again that Ye Jing was not impulsive. After all, their actions were so dangerous that they could die at any time and at any time. "Sure," Ye Jing said calmly. "That's fine." Zhao did not block the horizontal bar again. He calculated the distance from here to the white energy ball in the center of Pluto, and then waved the golden shovel 3 meters in front of him. As the golden shovel moved, a thin golden line was drawn from the golden shovel, cutting the space in front of him. The universal golden shovel is so convenient. I just don't know how long Zhao's horizontal bar will last and whether it can withstand it. A nearly 5-meter long space crack was opened, revealing an even darker space inside, with a strong evil wind howling inside. Opposite this space crack is the vicinity of the white energy ball. Ye Jing looked at Gray, "Gray, it's up to you." Gray suppressed the fear in his heart, nodded heavily, grabbed Ye Jing's arm, flew down from the back of the bone dragon, and rushed into the space crack. Dark, cold, and tearing with evil wind. In and out, it only took a blink of an eye. After getting out of the space crack, Ye Jing and Gray looked around to see where they were now. Here! Gray suddenly shouted, attracting Ye Jing's attention. 300 meters away from Gray, the white energy ball that supplied the body of Hades was there. Go! Without Ye Jing's order, Gray had already moved, grabbing Ye Jing and flying towards the direction of the white energy ball. 300 meters, it was only a few seconds away. Gray was suspended above the white energy ball, about 50 meters away. Gray said in a deep voice, "It's up to you now. I'll wait for you downstairs." "Yes." Ye Jing nodded, and then instructed, "If there is a change and your life is really in danger, you should leave immediately. I have my own secret method to escape." "Don't worry, I cherish my life very much," Gray replied with a smile. 3, 2, 1. He let go. Ye Jing raised the golden knife and fell towards the white energy ball. When the three of them approached Hades, the 7 semi-saints in the sky, no, 6 semi-saints, did not notice them. However, when the space crack opened, Ye Jing and Gray appeared near the white energy ball without any signs, and they noticed it. The 6 semi-saints who were originally preparing to raid the white energy ball all turned their eyes to Yejing and Gray and looked at each other. Is this someone from Blue Star or someone from the Holy Light Chamber of Commerce? Lai Yangtian was incredulous, staring at Yejing and Gray who were attacking the white energy ball with his eyes wide open. 2 people in the underground palace realm, challenging the Pluto who was suspected to be a true saint. Are we crazy, or are they crazy? Or is this world crazy? Don't they know how huge the difference in ability is? Or are all humans so crazy? The old president of the Holy Light shook his head and smiled bitterly. Among my juniors, there are no people who are so ignorant of their own abilities and don't know how to live or die. This is his definition, don't know how to live or die. They haven't died yet. How come 2 juniors suddenly appeared? No, actually 3. After the old president of the Holy Light denied it, everyone turned around and looked at the dean. The dean naturally recognized that one was Yejing, who had met him once in the outer city, and was a freshman in their academy, and the other was the eldest son of the Edward family, also a freshman in their academy. 2 freshmen. The dean suddenly had a headache. After rubbing his temple, he sighed and said, "That's right, this is someone from Blue Star." Awesome. You Blue Star are awesome. The rude Lai Yangtian couldn't help but give the dean a thumbs up, showing an admiring expression. Are you Blue Star people so fearless of death? He said what others wanted to say. Are you really so fearless of death? The dean was also shocked by the sudden appearance of Yejing and Gray. This is a variable that has never appeared before. Let's not talk about it for now. What about our plan? Said the dean. They originally wanted to take advantage of the Pluto stagnation period to try to attack the white energy ball again to see if they could break the space formation near the white energy ball. But now, the sudden appearance of Yejing and the other 2 stopped their plan. Continue as usual. After thinking about it, the old president of Shengguang said that he didn't think Yejing and Gray could affect their plan, and there was no possibility of even intervening. Let's go. While Pluto is still in a stagnant period, let's attack together and find loopholes in the space array of the white energy ball. By the way, take away those 2 ignorant juniors. In an instant, they disappeared from the spot and rushed towards the direction of the white energy ball. The target of the semi-saint is the white energy ball, and Yejing's target is also the white energy ball. The semi-saint knows that the white energy ball has a space array to transfer attacks, but Yejing doesn't know. After falling from a high altitude, Yejing burst out all the spiritual energy in his body, concentrated it on one point, reached the pinnacle, and gathered it on the golden knife. The golden knife instantly shone, and the dazzling golden light illuminated the darkness and enveloped Yejing's body. 5 meters away, falling directly. Yejing looked down from a high place, from top to bottom, holding the golden knife tightly with both hands, the target, the energy supply of Pluto, the white energy ball. Split the road of life and death with both hands, and cut off the root of right and wrong with one knife. When the golden knife is opened, parents raise it in vain. The exploding golden light suddenly slashed at the white energy ball. Huh? Why is something wrong? Before he touched the white energy ball, Yejing suddenly felt a slight spatial fluctuation coming, and a strange breath enveloped him, as if there was a mysterious power that wanted to reverse something. What the hell is this thing? Yejing was shocked. He didn't know that there was a space array near the white energy ball that could transfer damage. However, his shock lasted less than a second and then disappeared. Because he remembered the sound in his mind. Abyss strike, ignore level defense, cause real damage. The first attack on the enemy, trigger the multiplier max, cause 5 times the damage. Attack on the enemy, trigger bleeding max, the enemy has no blood, the trigger fails. Attack the enemy, trigger poisoning max, the enemy enters the poisoning state, and is forced to damage 10% of the maximum health value. It just happened. It's so funny. Yejing's Abyss attack happened to break the space array near the white energy ball. Ignore registration, ignore defense, real damage, and directly cut the space array of the white energy ball. Then, attack and cut the white energy ball directly. The scene of the golden knife cutting the white energy ball was seen clearly by the 6 semi-saints who happened to be there. They couldn't help showing shock on their faces and were extremely shocked in their hearts. What's going on? Why can his attack directly attack the white energy ball? Why can't we? What kind of attack is this? It just happened to cut the space array. The moment the golden knife touched the white energy ball, an invisible energy wave surged out from the white energy ball, and a powerful energy shock burst out instantly, directly sending Yejing flying. Yejing tightly grasped the golden knife, and felt a strong tearing pain all over his body, as if his whole body was crushed tens of thousands of times. It hurts. It really hurts. Trigger the Way of the Orphan, the energy shield is broken, and it will restart in 1 hour. Low vitality, trigger extraordinary physique, and recover to a healthy state. In an instant, the damage disappeared. Then, did the attack work? At the moment when Yejing jumped, he set his sights on the white energy ball. On the nearly 100-meter white energy ball, a golden knife mark suddenly appeared on the surface of the originally pure white and unscathed energy ball. The golden knife mark appeared on the surface of the white energy ball, and even the extremely small knife mark made Yejing very excited. The attack worked. He successfully caused damage to the white energy ball. Although it was only extremely weak damage, it was real damage. He only knew that he had caused weak damage to the white energy ball, but he didn't know that he had done more than just that. After being bounced, before falling to the ground, he was caught by someone. Yejing turned his head and looked at him in astonishment. Dean. It was not Gray who caught him, but the Dean. Looking around, several streams of light flashed by. This is, the other semi-saints are flying towards the white energy ball at a rapid speed. The Dean didn't have time to say more. After catching Yejing, he threw him to Gray in the distance with his backhand, suppressed his trembling voice and said, "You did a good job, you did a very good job." After saying that, he also flew towards the white energy ball. Yejing, who was transmitted in the air, was confused. What did I do? Didn't I just cut the white energy ball once? I haven't cut the second time yet, I haven't continued yet. I can still work harder. He didn't know that the Dean didn't know to praise him for cutting the white energy ball once, but exaggerated and shocked. Yejing cut the space array of the white energy ball. This is what makes all the semi-saints excited. Because they can take action. Why are all of them passive skills? Author, Bulletin G. Bayet. Chapter 406. What do I do? Yejing looked confused. He didn't think he had done anything worthy of being so excited and praised. Is there nothing they can do with the white energy ball? Impossible. After Yejing's body was thrown in a beautiful arc in mid-air, he was caught in the arms of Gray, who came over. Successful? Gray asked excitedly. He couldn't see clearly from a distance, but he only knew that Yejing hit the white energy ball with a knife. What happened after that was unclear. Probably. Yejing said a little uncertainly. He didn't know whether he had made a contribution. Certainly. It's not whether you have made a contribution, but it's a huge contribution. He accidentally cut off the space array near the white energy ball, allowing the half-saints who had been helpless to attack the white energy ball directly. In addition to doubling max and the power of the abyss, Yejing was unable to cause any damage to the white energy ball. He can't, but the semi-saints can. The damage value of the semi-saints can completely destroy Yejing. Stop asking, let's retreat first. Yejing said that he felt that he could no longer stay here. The semi-saints had taken action. Even the aftermath was enough to turn him and Gray into powder. No. After Gray responded, he held Yejing's body, flew to the crack in the space of Zhao's horizontal bar, and got in. After a while, the two people appeared in front of Zhao Hanban. Walk. Before Zhao Xingbang could ask anything, Yejing and Gray jumped on the back of the bone dragon and landed safely without any danger. Zhao was far away from the horizontal bar and didn't know what was going on, but he still understood the principle of hitting and running. Without hesitation, Zhao Dance Hang controlled the bone dragon transformation and ran wildly into the distance. Don't run too far. I guess there will be problems next. Yejing said that he had a hunch that it would not end so easily. It was estimated that there would be some changes. He did not need to run too far, as long as he was away from Pluto. If something happened, it would be good to return. You really don't want your life. Zhao Xingbang said. When the 6 half-saints gathered near the white energy ball, their faces couldn't help but flush with excitement. Sure enough, the space array near the white energy ball disappeared. Cut off by Yejing. How did that kid do it? Lai Yangtian glanced at the dean curiously, wanting to get the answer from the dean's mouth. The dean shook his head, a strange light flashed in his eyes. How did he know that even he, a semi-saint who majored in space, could not solve the space formation of the white energy ball in a short time? He did not expect that an outsider would be allowed to do it. A junior who suddenly appeared was killed with a knife. This is no longer a surprise, this is simply a shock. Blue Star, there are so many talents. The old president of Shengguang sighed, it deserves to be the place of origin of the human race, and it deserves to be the home planet of the human race. Geniuses come out in large numbers, and from time to time there will be a few juniors who shock the old guys like them. Is it a problem with his weapons? Probably not. After all, it's just an ordinary Omega weapon. Is that a secret technique? It must be some unknown secret technique. Is there still such a secret technique in the solar system? Is it a legacy from the previous era? Who knows? Why is this still being discussed? Hurry up and take action together to explode Pluto's energy supply. The old president of Shengguang interrupted their curious discussion. Everyone's eyes were focused on the white energy ball. As long as the white energy ball was exploded, Pluto's energy supply would be interrupted. Without energy, what else would there be? Then I don't know, just take it step by step, said. The old guild master Shengguang made the first move, spreading his arms like a rock spreading its wings. Countless green sword shadows flew out from his body and stood in the sky, covering half of the sky. This is the hidden swordsmanship. Use the spiritual energy in your body to continuously nurture the real sword and strengthen the sword's power. The phantom appears, 1 sword, 100 swords, 1,000 swords, 10,000 swords. The phantoms of 10,000 swords stood in mid-air, their power was like a rainbow, and their power was as strong as gold. Under the control of the old president of Shengguang, 10,000 swords became 5,000, and 5,000 became 2,005. They gathered together one after another, and finally formed an extremely huge sword that seemed to be able to cut the heaven and the earth. Shining green sword. Wang Jian returns to his clan. As soon as the sword came out, the world shook, and the spiritual energy within several miles began to riot, and the space trembled, as if it would be shattered in the next second. Finally, they started to get serious. Following the actions of the old president of Holy Light, others also played their trump cards. This blow was bound to cut off Pluto's energy supply. The dean stretched out his illusory palm, as if it did not exist in this space. The faint image of his palm held the white energy ball in the nearby space. He wants to hold the space together with the white energy ball and explode it. The blazing sun surged all over Lai Yangtian's body, and the ultra-high temperature condensed on his body. Finally, a ray of light as hot as the sun was gathered. The light was extremely small, and the energy was concentrated at one point, shooting directly at the white energy ball. Different from the blazing sun, the sea ice soul performs the two-layered sky of ice and fire. Absolute zero releases absolute cold air. The absolute cold air condenses absolute ice and freezes towards the white energy ball. The half-saint with the knife slashed out very naturally and calmly. This knife was the one he had been practicing since he first entered the country. In the past 100 years, he had slashed out countless times. 10 million or 100 million. With one knife, the space was shattered and the evil wind blew out. Like the half-saint with the knife, Tagore also threw out only one punch, a punch full of extreme power. This punch seemed to be able to blow up the planet and shatter the sky. The attacks of the 6 half-saints all attacked the white energy ball. In an instant, an unprecedented energy explosion suddenly broke out, and powerful forces attacked the white energy ball at the same time. Originally, the intact white energy ball was slashed by Yejing, and a crack appeared. And this crack, under the attack of the 6 half-saints, instantly covered the whole body, and countless cracks appeared on the surface, constantly expanding. Unable to bear it? Success. Can it explode? Damn, I really don't know what's in it. Be careful, we don't know what will happen next. The 6 semi-saints had different expressions, with solemn faces, and they hit the target with one blow and fled thousands of miles away. After the attack was successfully landed, they withdrew and watched from high in the sky, watching the next changes of the white energy ball. The cracks covered the white energy ball in the blink of an eye, and in the blink of an eye, a bright and dazzling light shone out from the white energy ball. Thanks to Ranmo, Xiaohutu, Li Yongsheng, Xuanhuan, and Cao sitting on the wire for the rewards. I feel that Li Yongsheng and Xuanhuan, you two are teasing the author. You are listening to novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Why are all of them passive skills? Author, Buletin G. Bayet. Chapter 407. Pure white light suddenly appeared, illuminating the sky here brightly, completely covering the white energy ball, and blocking the sight of the 6 half-saints. This is, what's going on? The grumpy brother Li Yangtian couldn't help but yelled. The successive changes made him very upset, so he might as well go directly to Pluto to fight head-on. He could have a good fight whether it was life or death. The white energy ball should be about to explode. The energy is huge. Pay attention to defense. The old president of Shengguang said in a deep voice. After speaking, he put up several layers of defense for himself with his backhand. The remaining few people also turned on the defense mode under the reminder of the old president of the Holy Light. They did not want to be killed by the energy impact of the white energy ball. As the energy in the white energy ball became more and more violent, the pure white light became more and more dazzling. Just when everyone couldn't hold their breath, there was a loud noise that shook Pluto within thousands of miles. Boom! Just like tens of millions of nuclear bombs exploding at the same time, the shocking sound spread rapidly as the energy exploded. I am CAO. Li Yangtian's eyes widened, and before he could curse, his whole body was blown hundreds of miles away by this burst of energy. Careful! The dean did not hesitate to cut open the space in front of him to resist the energy explosion. This energy burst out and spread rapidly in all directions. In just 1 second, it arrived in front of Yejing and the others. Help! Gray felt this unparalleled energy fluctuation and shouted in despair. He didn't think he could withstand this energy impact. Yejing and Zhao Xingbang also had sudden expressions on their faces, but Yejing was not afraid. He still had the war on his body that had not been triggered, so he could completely withstand the fatal damage. But what about Gray? Where is Zhao's horizontal bar? Just when Yejing was worried, Zhao Xingbang took out the golden shovel directly with his quick hands and eyes. He did not hesitate to use his lifespan, and after drawing a dark and deep space crack in front of him, he jumped in. "Come in quickly." After Yejing and Gray heard what Zhao Xingbang said, they also jumped in. "What is this place?" Yejing asked. It was pitch black all around, you couldn't see your fingers, the air was so thin that you couldn't breathe after one breath, and it was also very crowded, with 3 people pressed tightly together. "This is an exile space, used to escape danger in emergencies." Zhao Xingbang said with a pained face, this is also one of his trump cards, which can be used to avoid fatal injuries. This space and the real space are in 2 dimensions, just like the 2nd dimension and the 3rd dimension. The dimensions are different, so they cannot be hit. However, the cost of opening the exile space was very high, so much so that a strand of white hair appeared on his hair. He has only opened this exile space once since he was a child, and this is the 2nd time. "I feel sorry for the lifespan. I don't know if I can survive to the Destiny realm," Zhao Hanbang said worriedly. Moreover, this exile space is very small, and can barely accommodate the 3 of them, let alone the 100-meter-tall bone dragon. "So I'm sorry." The newly obtained bone dragon was discarded after only being used once. "It's okay if I don't want to. This thought makes me feel even more distressed." Exile the outside world. The energy wave that tears apart the space rages across everything, and no matter whether it is dead or living things, they can't escape its power. The ground was lifted up, and the undead creatures that had no time to escape turned into dust in an instant. The protective colors on the faces of many transcendent level bosses turned green, and they released all their energy without hesitation to protect themselves and their subordinates, as much as they could protect. This concussive energy burst ravaged the entire Pluto and spread out into the star sea. Even the battleships thousands of miles away were affected and crumbled in the star sea, as if they were about to fall into the bottomless abyss in the next second. The energy explosion caused by the explosion of the white energy ball raged for more than half an hour before gradually disappearing. In this half hour, Pluto was completely turned over, and the ground was opened up several meters deep. All undead creatures were wiped out without exception, and even their own people were killed. Fortunately, the weak practitioners were protected by the big guys, so the casualties were not very heavy. But that's it, there are still nearly 100,000 practitioners who are seriously injured and lying on the same spot, unable to fight anymore. The 6 half-saints witnessed the scene from high in the sky. They couldn't help but swallowed their saliva, and their hearts trembled with fear. What a huge amount of energy this was! This energy can even destroy Blue Star. If it hadn't been for Yejing's chance to cut open the space formation of the white energy ball without his life, allowing Pluto to always have such a huge energy supply, maybe they wouldn't be Pluto's opponents. Fortunately, the best of luck. Just because Yejing suddenly intervened and helped them cut off the space formation without knowing it, the 6 half-saints had the opportunity to directly attack the white energy ball and explode it directly, saving the next life and death battle. Otherwise, we don't know how many half-saints will die in the subsequent battle. Indirectly, these 6 half-saints all owed Yejing a huge favor. "Is it done?" After a long silence, Hai Binghun said with lingering fear, with a look of fear still on its face. "I don't know, but under this explosion of energy, Pluto's body was also destroyed, right?" The Dean said uncertainly. "That's right, even the 10,000 feet of Hades' body was not spared. Before they could make a move, they were blown to pieces by the explosion of the white energy ball. Indiscriminate attacks, regardless of whether they were enemies or friends, were ruthless. After the energy explosion, just when the 6 semi-saints breathed a sigh of relief and thought the battle was over, a shocking scene happened. After the white energy ball exploded, the existence inside was revealed. What is that? Where the white energy ball was originally placed, the white energy exploded, leaving behind another thing, which was the terrifying creature that had always existed in it. This creature was dark all over, in human form, but not in human form, like a virtual body, but also like a real body. The creature was not big, only 2 meters tall. Around the dark creature, the space seemed to be empty, as if the creature did not exist in this space. Is this a projection? Or is it a creature in another dimension? I don't know. But the faces of the 6 semi-saints turned green and dark, and their expressions were extremely heavy. Because they felt the breath of death and despair from this creature. This is the creature they call Hades. After many rounds of hard fighting, it finally revealed its true form. If Yejing were here, his face would also change drastically. Because the breath of this creature would make him very familiar. This is the breath of the abyss. Why are all of them passive skills? Author, Bulletin G. Bayet. Chapter 408. Only the abyss can fight the abyss. This dark creature, like a projection, seemed to be covered with mosaics all over its body. You couldn't see its facial features, fingers, or anything else. It was as if there was only a 3D image standing in front of it. This was what they called Pluto, the real virus from the outside world. An energy wave that had never been seen in the solar system spread from Pluto. Is it done? In the exile space, Gray asked cautiously. In the crowded exile space, the air was almost gone. It should be done, right? Zhao Danggong said a little uncertainly. It had been more than half an hour. Could it be that the energy shock was still continuing? Then open a crack and take a look. Yejing suggested. Zhao Danggong nodded, gently took out the golden shovel, and scratched it in the exile space. A ray of light appeared. Zhao Danggong cast the light, looked at the outside world, and was relieved immediately, and then opened the exile space. Come out, it's safe now. He jumped out first. Yejing and Gray looked at each other and waited for more than 10 seconds naturally. Only when they felt that there was no danger did they jump out. When Yejing came out of the exile space, his face changed instantly. He turned his head and shot his eyes like a torch towards Pluto. He trembled in his heart. He felt it. This is the breath of the abyss. Damn. How is it possible? How can there be a breath of the abyss here? It's unrealistic and impossible. It's like one day when you wake up in the morning and see your two-dimensional paper wife standing in front of you alive and calling you to get up. Oh my God, is the dimension bombed? Pa. Is it the time to think about this kind of thing now? Yejing looked in the direction of Pluto and couldn't help but take a breath of cold air. He was sure in his heart that this was definitely the breath of the abyss. He was very familiar with the breath of the abyss, whether it was the passive skill he first came into contact with, power of the abyss, or the abyss breath that erupted from the furnace some time ago, and the abyss level passive skill hero obtained. Both of these things contain a strong breath of the abyss. And now, in the solar system, besides him, there is actually a breath of the abyss. Is this a world with 2 protagonists? That should be the real Pluto, right? Yejing thought to himself, if we talk about the situation where the breath of the abyss appears, it can only be Pluto. It seems that the identity of this Pluto creature is not simple. At the same time, when Yejing sensed the breath of the abyss of Pluto, the furnace in his mind went berserk without any warning, as if it was a wild wolf that was about to starve to death, extremely irritable. Yejing's mouth twitched. Of course he knew what the furnace meant. Didn't it mean that he wanted to eat it because he saw the breath of the abyss more intimate? Brother, hold on, we really can't eat this thing. In addition, on the battlefield of Pluto, besides Yejing, there was another person who was frightened by the breath of the abyss. After Xiao Qinglian, who was hundreds of miles away, sensed the breath of the abyss, her tender body trembled slightly, and with a deep fear in her eyes, she looked towards Pluto. She knew that this breath was the culprit of the destruction of the last era. The breath that once destroyed an era appeared again. The desperate fear made her face pale in an instant, her hands and feet cold, and her body unconsciously moved away, wanting to escape from here. Isn't this too terrifying? When Zhao Danggong and Gray came out of the exile space, they were directly shocked by the tragic scene in front of them. The land under their feet had been broken and could not be broken anymore. The entire ground was lifted up by several meters. The area within hundreds of miles seemed to have been looted, with no grass growing and tragic scenes. The ground was sunken several meters, full of gravel and yellow sand, and some hard undead bones. The originally huge body of Pluto had disappeared without a trace, and no living creature could be seen nearby except the three of them. The coalition forces hundreds of miles away also suffered heavy losses, and nearly 200,000 elites died in this energy shock. On the other side, 6 semi-saints confronted the Hades from outside the solar system. It's you who are always restless. The irritable brother Li Yangtian suppressed the shock in his heart and roared at the Hades. Then, as if testing, he rubbed out a dazzling sun in his palm and shot it towards the Hades. Then, there was nothing else. The moment the sun flame touched the Hades body, it disappeared. It was as if it had never appeared, and it seemed to be reset by some unknown energy, and it disappeared without touching the Hades. This was very different from the previous attack on the white energy ball. The space array around the white energy ball can divert the attack. And the Hades eliminated Li Yangtian's attack unconsciously. After seeing this scene, everyone's face changed slightly. Another big trouble. Just when they were about to make a move to test it, the Pluto, who was all mosaic, spoke. All Yangshen creatures must die. A whisper like an evil ghost or a demon came out of the Pluto's mouth, like mumbling to himself, or announcing death. As soon as the voice fell, the body of Hades moved. It raised one hand and pointed at everyone. A dark energy wave burst out from its palm. This is the energy of the abyss. It is an energy that is many times more advanced than spiritual energy, the essence of the solar system, and the Omega light. The dark light rolled up a strong breath of death and shot at everyone at an unparalleled speed. Attention! The expressions of several people tightened, and they dodged and dispersed in various directions. However, when they dispersed, the dark color, which was originally only one, also dispersed into 6 parts and shot in different directions. Although the dark light was dispersed, the energy contained in it did not disperse at all. Seeing that they could not dodge, several people immediately reacted and used their defensive secrets in an instant. The Dean cut the space in front of him, forming layers of space interlayers, trying to drown the dark light in multiple layers of space. But the next second, the Dean's face changed drastically. The dark light directly ignored all spaces and shot into his body head-on. In just 1/1000th of a second, the dark light directly penetrated the right arm of the Dean and shot towards the distance. At the same time, it was not only the Dean who was frustrated, but all the semi-saints. The dark light condensed by the abyss energy directly ignored any spiritual defense. The dark light penetrated the flames of Li Yangtian and pierced his right shoulder. Under the attack of the dark light, the sword formation of the old president of the Holy Light was like paper, and it broke with a poke. The 10,000-year ice body of Xuanhuan was shattered in an instant. The only knife in the hand of the semi-saint holding a knife exploded. A big hole was pierced in Tagor's chest. The 6 semi-saints were all injured by the casual attack of Hades. This is simply an enemy of different dimensions. This is no longer a suppression of realm. This is an energy suppression across several levels. The abyss energy against the spiritual energy, a complete victory. How is it possible? Everyone looked at the scars on their bodies in disbelief, as if they were dreaming and couldn't accept it. This dreamlike start can only appear in dreams. Isn't this cheating? Hai Binghuan couldn't help but scream, its sharp voice trembling and full of fear. The faces of others were also very ugly. How to fight? Their defense was completely useless under the attack of Hades. Low-level Yangshen lackeys, all must die. Before everyone could react from the previous attack, Hades' second attack came again. No pause. No gap. Similarly, the desperate abyss energy burst out from Hades' body, divided into 6, bombarding the void and shooting everyone. Bang 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 bang. 6 muffled explosions burst from the 6 semi-saints, and the intense pain that had not been experienced in many years spread from the flesh to the nerves, letting them know that this was not a dream, this was reality. No power to fight back. Are they weak? Are the half-saints weak? Not weak at all. However, they had no power to resist in the hands of Hades. The enemy was too strong. The suppression of the abyss energy made them unable to fight back and could only passively take the beating. This is cheating. In front of Hades, they were like ordinary people, with bullets piercing their bodies. In the second attack, the 6 half-saints suffered different degrees of damage to their bodies. Attack together. The old president of Holy Light suppressed his fear, roared dryly, took a step ahead, and flew towards Hades. His body turned into a long sword, with sword bones, sword body and sword tip all over his body. Transformed into a sword, with determination, shot at Hades. A fierce look flashed in the dean's eyes, and an extremely powerful aura burst out from his body, and the space within a radius of hundreds of miles trembled, as if it would be completely shattered in the next second. Space-shattering dance. As the dean's secret technique erupted, the space around Pluto was directly shattered, and countless silver-white space fragments danced in the air, scraping against Pluto one by one, and then disappeared. Li Yangtian gritted his teeth, and the whole person turned into a ball of sun, swallowing fire with his body, and rushed towards Pluto. Habinghun gathered all the ice spirit energy of the entire Pluto, and the cold air of -10,000 degrees flowed around Pluto, freezing it in the blink of an eye. Eternal ice coffin. Tagore seriously punched a serious punch, and the sky and the earth changed color, and black clouds pressed down the sky. The half-saint holding the knife controlled the fragments of his broken longsword and shot them at Pluto together. Secret techniques came out together, and 100 flowers bloomed. Life and death are only a moment away. Victory or defeat is within one round. Whether you can hit the target with one blow and defeat Pluto depends on this time. This is the self-sacrificing blow of the 6 half-saints. The Hades, who was like a projected virus, could not see its face or its emotional changes. Facing 6 attacks and the killing siege of 6 semi-saints, it moved. The Hades, who was frozen in the eternal ice coffin, burst out with the power of the abyss, and the eternal ice coffin was directly shattered into slag. Countless space fragments danced and interspersed on the Hades body, as if attacking another dimension, but failed to cause any damage. The Hades gently raised his foot and kicked the fiery sky, who was transformed into the sun, thousands of miles away, and hit the battleship thousands of miles away like a stream of light. The Omega longsword of the half-saint holding the sword scraped against Hades' body, but failed to penetrate the abyss energy at all. Facing Tagore's serious punch, Hades didn't even move, and took the punch straight, only shaking the messy abyss energy around him. Finally, Hades stretched out 2 empty hands, one hand grabbed the hilt of the sword transformed by the old president of Holy Light, and the other hand grabbed the tip of the sword transformed by the old president of Holy Light. The old president of Holy Light stopped the sword directly. Then, understated, under the horrified eyes of the crowd, very light, with a force, with a click. The old president of Holy Light turned into a sword and was directly broken into 2 halves. With a ding-dong sound, half of the sword fell to the ground and dimmed. In an instant, the strongest and most experienced old president of Holy Light among these half-saints fall. The breath of despair instantly enveloped the other half-saints. 1 round, 1 fight. Hades was unscathed. The old president of Holy Light died. You. This is a beating that will paralyze you. This is not an opponent of the same level at all. This is not an enemy of the same level at all. Their attacks have not been able to penetrate Hades' defenses so far. Deep despair permeated like an abyss. Except for Lian Liangtian, who was kicked away, the other 4 semi-saints trembled all over, their faces full of despair and shock. Invincible. This is truly invincible. After the strong shock, the dean bit his tongue hard, and the pain of blood made him regain a little bit of sanity. The first time he regained sanity, he tremblingly opened the communicator of all channels of the coalition. Said one sentence. The whole army retreats. The whole army retreats immediately. Can't beat, can't kill. They are going to die. But if possible, the seeds of the future must escape. These 2 sentences reached everyone's ears. Silence, only silence. They knew that this time the battle against Pluto had failed. They only had one enemy, Pluto, who even a semi-saint could not defeat. Since a semi-saint couldn't do it, what use were they? Useless. After a few seconds of silence, many extraordinary strong men issued a retreat order to their subordinate elites. All troops, return to the fleet, and return immediately. After that, they did it at the same time. After Li Wang let Li Hui escape with his subordinates, he flew in the air on the Thunder Throne and flew towards Pluto. After Wu Hongkai let the second leader retreat with the people of Baiduxing, he went north alone. After a slight hesitation, Xiao Qinglian suppressed her fear of the abyss and followed Wu Hongkai. After the great elder of the Crescent Moon Empire slapped Lola Lamperogi unconscious with a slap, he threw him to the nobles and flew towards Pluto. This scene happened in all directions of Pluto. 1, 10, 100, 553. A total of 553 extraordinary realms rushed towards the direction of Hades.